What really happened to Jack Ma? For starters, who is Jack Ma? Jack Ma is a Chinese billionaire. Of course, he's famously known as the co-founder of Alibaba, which is literally the Amazon of China. Jack basically has a high profile. Like, he's a high profile guy. He's a fun-loving, charismatic personality. And for those that remember the Alibaba 18th birthday, Jack literally dressed like Mike Jackson and danced to Billie Jean. Imagine. Jack, for those who have seen him on YouTube, is often seen as an international speaker on conferences regarding business, motivation, entrepreneurship. In short, Jack loves and lives life. As of April 2021, Jack Ma had a net worth of about 51 billion US dollars, which pretty much makes him like the third wealthiest person in China. But for those that don't know much about China, except the manufacture of everything cheap, China is a communist country. For context, in a communist country, there is typically one party that does the administration and governance. And this governance is guided by political and economic ideologies that tend to oppose themselves to democracy and capitalism. Usually, they advocate for a system that is classless. We are literally all the same. We are equal. Everyone deserves the same. In a sense, it's against capitalism, because in capitalism, if you work hard, you earn more, you're richer, you're above everyone else. In China, there's kind of this claimed equality, though it doesn't actually exist in literal life. It doesn't. Like, for example, in China, you'll know a guy, he's a millionaire, but you can't talk about him simply because he's a friend of the government. So if you want to thrive in a communist system or in a communist country, just be a friend of the government. You'll be as rich as you need to be. But if you question the government, you're gone. I guess you see where this is headed. So the question is, what really happened to Jack Ma? Let's take it back. Last year, around October 2020, something happened. And between October 2020 and January 2021, Jack Ma literally disappeared from the public eye. And this happened after he made a controversial speech. What made it controversial? Jack's speech came moments after Wang Qishan's speech on self-reliance and financial risk. Somehow, for those that don't know Wang Qishan or Qishan, I don't know, Qishan has not been in the public eye also. He's the vice president of China. And this guy has served as the director of several leading banks in China. So he's kind of a connected guy. Consider him to be a guy who wields a lot of power. And if he doesn't, his boss, who is the president of China, does. So for his speech, one of the few speeches he literally makes as the vice president, this guy emphasizes state regulation of businesses, ensuring that businesses do not become the master of the state. Doesn't get better than that in a communist country. So Jack Ma, moments after that, in his speech, criticizes the Chinese financial systems, of which Wang, who is the vice president, is party. So Wang takes things personal. And in China, a country controlled by the Communist Party, financial systems are also controlled by the government. Well, it's the case in most countries, but in China, everything is controlled by the Communist Party. So indirectly, Jack Ma attacked the vice president. He literally attacked the party by attacking the vice president. And that's the last thing the Communist Party wants. The Communist Party in China loves public embarrassment. And if you do embarrass it, trust me, it's going to come for you. Well, we know what happens after that. Jack Ma criticizes the vice president. The government takes it personal. What do? They summon Jack Ma. And when Jack Ma is summoned, no one knows for now what they talked about. However, the effects of the summoning were felt by his businesses. After the summoning, the shares of Jack Ma's companies fell, literally wiping out $76 billion of its value. Literally 76 billion. That's like a lot. That's a lot. 76 billion is a billionaire, a full billionaire being wiped off. Actually, a couple of billionaires being wiped off from the billionaires list. All this money goes away from Jack Ma's companies in a split second after he was summoned. Imagine that loss. On top of that, Jack Ma's Alibaba company was slapped with a record $2.8 billion fine after an anti-monopoly investigation. Like, really? Alibaba has existed since 1999, and only until now they remember to investigate the company for monopoly charges. Like, really? Now? It doesn't get worse than this. To add more salt to the wound, weeks after, the president himself, like literally Xi Jinping, personally decided to pull Ant Group's $34 billion initial public offering. That's the IPO. And when he pulls that, for those that don't know Ant Group is formerly known as Alipay. Alipay is an affiliate of Alibaba, and it handles payments for many of these e-commerce websites. So if you pull Antpay's IPO, you're rendering it kind of vulnerable. Means Alipay can no longer process payments for Alibaba. And for anyone who has run an online shop, the most frustrating process of the business is handling payments. If you cannot handle payments, you're frustrated, you frustrate your customers. As a result, business crumbles. So in China, not only is the Chinese company responsible to do what the party demands, but they also cannot admit to doing it if someone asks them. So yes, it is what it is. And I understand at this point, Jack Ma should have been devastated. And at this point, he took a public sabbatical leave. He disappeared. And that's when people started to ask, what happened to Jack Ma? What happened to Jack Ma? Earlier this year, Jack Ma is said to have driven hours into the countryside to an obscure location, and he was accompanied by a government film crew to make a reappearance video. Some of you saw that video. And it was later posted on government news agencies all over China. And in this video, Ma appeared to be subdued. Ma spoke in Chinese, though he knows English. He's a charismatic guy, but he was low on emotion. He was kind of not as flamboyant as we all know him to be. In this video, he said nothing about what happened to Alibaba, his companies, Ant Group, his net worth, nothing. All the money he lost, he didn't say anything about that. The only thing he said is, quote unquote, I have been studying and thinking, and have become more determined to devote myself to education and public welfare. Imagine. This is exactly what the Communist Party wanted. They live for this. They love repentance. They love to show everyone who is boss. Take it to be some sort of repentance through community service. They want to show the entire China that no one is above them, the entire world, that no one, regardless of the amount of money that you have, is above them. Take it like in other countries like the States. If you have a fight with your spouse, small petty crimes, the state demands that you do community service as your symbol of repentance. Later, news reporters, after Jack Ma had made that reappearance video, reports were made, and they claimed that they had spotted Jack Ma playing golf somewhere on a Chinese tropical island, somewhere. This happened. We cannot prove it. The once vibrant Jack Ma, over-the-top billionaire, all of a sudden took on a low profile, which is quite interesting, but worth the observation. Many speculate that the Chinese Communist Party had clipped, or has clipped, Jack Ma's wings in order to show him who is the boss. This reminds me of what Wang, the Vice President of China, said in his previous speech about the state considering regulation to ensure that businesses do not become the master of state. This is literally what happened to Jack Ma. The Chinese Communist Party ensured that he does not become the master of the state by speaking against the powers that be. For now, although Jack Ma maintains a low profile, I strongly believe his story is not over.
So we will continue to do that, and we'll continue to work with you. Thank you so much.